All right. Hello all. It's Anni here from Caffeine-Free Life channel. And if you are new to my channel is support channel for all the caffeine addicts and everyone who wants to gain this information about what caffeine does and how it can take really long time for some people to recover after chronic caffeine use. So warmly welcome. And first things first, I will just check that everything works. I put the chat on so you can also join to the chat. And then I just make sure that this voice is working. So we're gonna just today, yes, it's working. We're gonna talk about, or I'm gonna talk about a little bit the same thing that I have been talking already before. About the setbacks and how I, in my own words, I try to just bring some kind of point of views that I have been learning in this my own recovery journey, and while I have been learning from the other people who are going through these symptoms, these post-acute withdrawal symptoms, which are, if you are new to this term, the state when the brain and the body keep still healing after the acute withdrawal, the detox part is over. And then all those neurochemical changes that have been happening in this chronic use, and in this case, of course, the drug is caffeine, that have been happening in the brain have to adjust back. And that includes all the neurotransmitters going back in the balance, all the hormones and all things that have been changing. So that's why it can be very complex process to many people. I cannot give you the timeline how long it's gonna take to be 100% because, like I have been said, I'm still improving myself. Even I'm almost 100%, but still some kinks to left. So we're gonna just dive deep and just remember, I'm not any kind of medical professor or any kind of I'm normal person, and because of this really hard journey, I did started to dive deep into some stuff and about the brain science, because I didn't have anyone to really guide me through this. And of course I have been very honored to help a lot of other caffeine addicts and chronic caffeine users in their journey, and I have been in that way I have been also learning about this journey, and I have been learning about how the brain heals after chronic drug use, and what are the certain things that you may want to know if you are going in this journey. And I also want to say that these my videos, this information that I do are of course the most helpful for those people who really have these bad symptoms and who nervous system really have been injured. Like for me, my nervous system did get really sensitized, and I did get injured myself really badly. I use word injured because even it's a reversible injury, I think still sometimes want to say injury, sometimes I don't want to say injury, but it's the things that happened while I was in the drug, my brain, that my brain did go in that adapted state. So in that sense, it kind of is like injury because my brain wasn't in homeostasis, in balance, and that's why it's can be a long and complex process when we start to kind of go back to the homeostasis. So that was hopefully give you a little pre-information what I'm about to speak today. So setbacks. First of all, what are the setbacks? Setback itself is something that it's not always something that you can avoid. I think this is also, you have to remember these are just my own thoughts about this, and I can show you a little bit science in a minute that why I think like this. But sometimes life just happen during this post-acute withdrawal. Sometimes we can have tragedies, sometimes you may have really hard time with your loved ones, maybe you lose somebody. That kind of things can happen in life, and when your nervous system is sensitive, that of course can cause you or some people a setback, well, where your symptoms really get more intense and you feel just the stress is just overwhelming and you cannot stand anything and everything is just like spinning. I just want to know that life happens during we are healing. So that is normal, and that doesn't mean that if you have that kind of things happening and your symptoms go up the roof, it doesn't mean that you are starting all over. And like for example, myself, I had that 35 months setback last spring, really bad setback, and it just happened. I wasn't taking anything, not any supplement or anything before that. Okay, I was doing workouts, but I have heard that some people just have that huge setback. Sometimes even they haven't been stressing themselves, nothing have happened their life before. So that is possible. That kind of some big tsunami setback happens. Like with me and Mandy, we have been sharing about this. This is for some people it happens, it's normal. But now in this video, I just wanna tell you a few things that maybe it's good to that you are aware, and then you decide what to do or not based on your own life and situation and whatever you are doing, because I think these are just important. So like before, I did already share you that video about those toxic supplements. So that is a really huge thing to also say, because when your brain receptors are healing, some receptors have to renew itself, some receptors are like shutting, like going down, like shrinking, new ones grow. There is a lot of happening. So if you start to take something that affects those receptors, okay, let's say that you are in, and I understand that many of you are in bad place, like I was too. So in that place, you don't necessarily think about, you just try to navigate it. You just find whatever to make your journey helpful. But this is the important stuff that many doesn't know, that even those symptoms, they are very uncomfortable. I know they are healing symptoms. Your brain is trying to adjust. So let's say that you start to take some supplements, because really many supplements are affecting your brain. And I'm not saying that this happens to everyone, but there is these three things that you may want to consider and think about when you start to if you start to take something. I don't take any supplements. I don't ever want to take. I just don't need them. But this is what I have been seeing that can happen to some people. So when you introduce in some supplements that affect your brain receptors, maybe the same receptors that caffeine was already like messing up, like you're gonna start to take something maybe to help you sleep, like even melatonin or something that you think is harmful, like and you may, or maybe you start to think something that will jeopardize, I don't know the word, like the messed up with those receptors while they are healing. It may be that your body, your symptoms go less. Okay, you can think, why is that? Is it that because you are introducing a new drug there, and that's not necessarily at all a good thing, or alcohol or anything. It can maybe put your symptoms a little bit milder about the caffeine PAWS, but it doesn't mean that it can affect your healing. So that is one really big thing to consider. Other thing is like you take some supplements, like let's say for simple as like fish oil or magnesium, which can cause a lot of, magnesium can also cause some people a lot of issues, but not for everyone. It depends also your nervous system and many other things. But let's say that you introduce some that thing that you think it's not harmful. Okay, it might be that it doesn't do anything, you stay the same, okay, whatever. That can happen to a lot of people. They are popping those supplements like pills. I cannot help that. But it also can make it worse. Also with antibiotics, which I think that nobody shouldn't take unless it's, I don't necessarily like ever wanna take those meds, because I don't believe in meds. I think meds like the benzos and all those, they are doing a lot of brain injury. And I know that probably some benzo withdrawal people can also watch my videos, so I do understand that also how, and that's where I also have been learning about this information about how the brain heals, so that's where I get also my information. So that of course is very clear that if you start to do some kind of medication, that can interrupt your healing process. Okay, so that can happen. And then nobody can know like how long the setback from that, for example antibiotics or some supplements, gonna last, because we are individuals. For some people it may be like maybe it's of some hours, some days. For some people it can be even months and months and months before they go back into their baseline and back in the track. Okay, same with the other drugs. It makes sense why you don't want to introduce other drugs while you are healing, because that also messes up the brain chemistry. So, and I don't judge anyone. I know that it's for some people it's not possible to quit all the drugs at the same time, and then you just do what you can. But I just want to share this information based what I have been learned, and because I didn't have this kind of information. And nobody speaking about this in caffeine detox point of view, so that's why I'm just very passionate about to speak about that and share this information, so people can then have this and decide what to do. So then when you have that kind of setbacks, I think these could be like avoidable if you don't have to take it. Why would you risk something if you don't have to do? Then there is some things also that sometimes for some people it's hard to avoid, and I understand this, because some people may have that their health condition is like that they have to do some kind of surgery during this healing journey, which can mean that they have to take some kind of medication, or if they go to the anesthesia, and of course that can be really scary, but if like I said, life happens. Sometimes you have to just do the things that you do. But maybe in this case, if you, let's say that if you go to some kind of surgery that is not must to do while you are healing, like it's something that you just wanna do because I don't know what people do. They take all kind of stuff like Botox, whatever. I don't know. But I wouldn't do any of that while your nervous system is sensitized and your brain is still healing. If you don't have to, then if you have to, then maybe try to tell your doctors and even the anesthesia doctors and those, maybe try to tell that what is your going through. Like, I'm going through this. My brain is sensitized and I hi Jazz, hi, and I know that I was lucky that I didn't have to go any surgeries or any treatments. I was even scared of hell going to the dentist. I didn't go dentist until I was like I think over 2 years, but I didn't have any cavities, thank God. But I was so my anxiety was so high that I couldn't even think about being in the dentist chair, opening my mouth. And even when I went there in my 2 years, I was like, you know me, my personality is really, I'm very strict. So I tell them all about like, I did quit caffeine and I have this brain injury and this is what I'm going through. So don't fucking give me anything that can cause me anything. I didn't wanna, like, I only said that you only check my teeth and let's see what is going on, and then you say if there is something going on, and then I decided if I'm gonna do anything. And luckily I didn't have to, but that's how terrified I was. And that tells somebody who doesn't go through this, like some of us, like I said, this information that I share, it's not probably those people who have mild symptoms, who caffeine withdrawal or maybe some weeks or months and they don't have high anxiety and their brain doesn't go through what we are going through, many of us who watch my channel. So then of course you can deal with supplements, you can deal with certain stuff, but again then you don't need this kind of information. Your withdrawals probably then will be mild, short, you go pretty quickly back to your self-living, exercise helps you, that's like piece of cake, and then you just be happy to not use caffeine, and that of course is possible. But this, of course, is the information that is for people who have these long-term symptoms and these neurochemical changes happening in the brain. So that's one of my tips, that if you don't have to do something, that you need to take something, medication during this, don't do that. Like, why would you do that if you don't have to? Okay, so then of course another thing is, these are just the common thing, is like the stress. We all know stress happens, and when you are healing, your nervous system is already like out of the whack, so you probably are very stressed out, and your brain is stressed out, like what is happening, like brain and body is like what is this, like all these changes are happening. So if you can, just like don't cause yourself to extra stress, like meaning like, for example, for me it was really hard thing to bite that I couldn't exercise like I used to was, and I did just gain weight, belly fat, because I was so my nervous system was so sensitized, and I felt so stressed, and I just gained like that cortisol belly, and of course I that wasn't of course my biggest symptom, because I know that when I knew that when I heal I can just exercise and the belly goes away. But of course, like for me now, what I would say to myself there when I started this 4 years ago, a little bit over 4 years ago, I would say that do something like walk, that like don't try to push yourself so hard, Anni. Don't try, because this is not something that it's gonna happen overnight. That's what I would say. I don't know if that Anni would listen. probably not, because not, like I said, everyone's have to go through it kind of their own, and people will try all kind of things. But if that's not necessarily something that you have to do, add extra stress while you are feeling so bad, it makes sense not to do that. Like your body is going through a lot of healing, and it takes energy to do that healing. So you have plenty of time to do those hard stuff when you are recovered. And then of course I do understand that some of you who watch this, you have a physical job. I know people who go through this, they have a physical job, or you have to do something that is very physical. And I do understand that, because I also live here, that I sometimes have to do physical work. And I can say that in my own case, it was really hard while I was healing to do some of the stuff that did take a lot of physical strength, because I was so weak. I was feeling so weak and sensitive and broken and break, and I felt like even like wind could break me down, or sound could break me down, or whatever. That's how break I felt while I was healing. So that's of course it's one thing to avoid if you just can, and then wait when you feel more better. And then we come to this windows and waves. So why I feel the setback is different than windows and waves. Hi Hardik. Yeah, I will check the chat because I'm speaking so much. What Hardik says: lately I started pranayama and my anxiety has reduced quite a bit. Yes, that is really good. That kind of things that help you, of course you should do and keep doing. Like for me also, like some kind of gentle yoga and meditations, and the gentle stuff can help you with your journey, but not anything like go into the gym and start to do like really heavy workouts. That's not something that you should do while you are still in that phase that you don't really have energy and you have a lot of intrusive thoughts and your nervous system is sensitized. When you are more centered and calm and your sleep is good and that, then you can of course start to introduce more stuff. But you know when you are ready to that, your body will tell you. Yes, so then of course we're gonna go in what was my last part of this. So yeah, we have these stress setbacks, we can have the supplement setbacks, we can have some kind of surgery setbacks that you can avoid if you don't have to. And then now we go also, yes, I was speaking about windows and waves. So windows and waves, it's like what I have been speaking of. Windows and waves happen to some people. Like windows, you feel a little bit better, still have symptoms. Some people, window can be only 10-minute window, you feel a little bit better. You don't have any other big windows until you start to feel better. So that's also one way to heal. Remember that. Not everybody have like this kind of windows and waves that some of us women have, that when our period and ovulation we feel really bad, anxiety is up the roof, lot of head symptoms, and then we feel a little bit better or something like that. But it can be anyway, the windows and waves happen. But setback, what I think it's different than windows and waves, it's that you really being thrown off with something, like something really happens. It can be the supplement injury or medication injury, while this, or maybe some stressful event, like our dog died when I wasn't 2 years, when our really good dog that we love really huge setback in that. But that last summer for me it was really a setback, because I don't know why it happened, but it happened because I was really thrown off. Like really, it wasn't just a wave, it was just like thrown off, and it took me months to overcome it. But I did overcome it. But hi Travis and welcome. So anyway, we always overcome it. Either it would be something that you did, because some people they sometimes say that, Anni, I did take something and I shouldn't have, I regret. But even if you did something, I just want to say that you will recover. You avoid things that are not like what you can, and if you have to do something like surgery or something, just remember that you will continue to heal, and we all heal in time. And that's why I think the setbacks also are part of this journey. And setback doesn't mean that you just suddenly go starting the beginning. The symptoms may, when they come like full force, it may seem that people always say, Anni, I'm starting from beginning. Oh my God, I'm starting from beginning. I'm dying. You are not dying. It is just the symptoms increased, which means your body is doing a more intense healing, because there is stuff to heal still, and symptoms are always signs that you are healing. So I hope this did give you a little bit motivation also. Okay, let's check the chat, and then I will throw you a little bit information. So what house there? I'm a drunk as skunk. Okay. Well, then you just are. What Travis Nice says. Do you recommend people wean off caffeine or quit cold turkey? Yeah, I recommend wean if that's possible, because just based on my own experience for the cold turkey shock, and I have been hearing some people having really good experience when they wean, like slowly, and they didn't have this really huge shock for the nervous system, and they didn't get this really bad panic attacks. What I started to get on my nervous system did get sensitized. I don't know if that's gonna be for some who have like really chronic caffeine addiction like I was, that they are not like, they are healed fast. I don't know, but it can be easier, and maybe they are able to work and do stuff like staying functional is always good. If you can stay functional in this, I don't recommend these shocks things like benzos. We know that these shock cold turkeys, what doctors do, they can even cause death. So, and there is a science also from the caffeine. This medical industry have been known over hundreds of years that quitting cold turkey caffeine can be also dangerous for some people. But it depends. Then there are people who quit cold turkey caffeine and they don't have, they haven't been injured by that. Same as benzos. So I can't give that the right answer. I just can say for my perspective. Okay, right, all right, but now I'm gonna just show you this little stuff that I have been putting my notes here. Wait a second, when I just find these my notes here. Well, if my computer just let me the work, okay, here. So this is just my own little like notes that I have been collected about this adenosine and caffeine introduction. Like many people does know that caffeine blocks the adenosine, but maybe when we look a little bit how that can affect our brain chemistry while we go through PAWS and while our brain is doing this adaptation back to normal, so we can just see this a lot. So normal function of adenosine. Adenosine is a neuromodulator of the brain that promotes relaxations and sleepiness. That is very important to us, feel that relaxations and sleepiness when it is balanced by inhibiting neural activity. It accumulates during wakefulness and binds to adenosine receptors, leading to feelings or drowsiness. Caffeine mechanism. Caffeine is adenosine receptors antagonist. It binds to adenosine receptors without activating them, effectively blocking adenosine from binding and thereby preventing its calm effects. This leads to increased alertness and wakefulness. Adaptations to long-term caffeine use. Receptor upregulation. With chronic caffeine consumption, the brain compensates for the blocked adenosine receptors by upregulating or increasing the number of adenosine receptors. This means more receptors are available to bind with adenosine, attempting to counteract the effects of caffeine. Increased sensitivity. The upregulation of adenosine receptors mean that over time the brain becomes more sensitive to adenosine. Even with caffeine blocking some receptors, the increased number of receptors can still lead to some degree of adenosine binding and effects. Balancing ACT. The body consciously produces adenosine as a byproduct of cellular metabolism, especially during activities that consume ATP, adenosine triphosphate. This adenosine will keep attempting to bind its receptors. During caffeine consumption, much of this adenosine remains unbound due to the blocked receptors, but continues to circulate in the brain and the body. So what happens during withdrawal? And I will go to the chat soon. Just wait a little bit. This is not long. So round effect. When caffeine intake is suddenly stopped, the numerous adenosine receptors are no longer blocked. The accumulated adenosine can now bind to these receptors more effectively, leading to exaggerated effect of its usual action. This results in symptoms like drowsiness, fatigue, headaches, and sometimes depression. Like headaches also because your blood vessels can be now more open and the brain will get the blood flow, because the caffeine also will stop the blood flow in the brain, and because it stops adenosine, and adenosine, like when it starts to come around, you also have these headaches because of that, the blood flow. So normalization over time, gradually with absence of caffeine, the brain will decrease the numbers of adenosine receptors, down regulation back to normal levels. This adjustment reduces the sensitivity to adenosine, and normal wakefulness and sleep patterns will eventually be restored. So sleep also will go back to normal. And there is also systemic impact, peripheral effects. Adenosine also affects other parts of the body, such as cardiovascular system, where it can cause vasodilation, widening of the blood vessels. During withdrawal, increased adenosine activity can lead to headaches. Headaches are very common, to do vasodilation in the brain. And there are these that this is one that people will know. This is what people know from the caffeine. People know that short-term withdrawal symptoms within 12 to 24 hours caffeine cessation might experience withdrawal symptoms as headaches, fatigue, irritability, and difficulty concentrating. These symptoms peak within 1 to 2 days and typically last for about a week. And this is where the people go, Anni, what is this? I checked in the internet that caffeine withdrawals are 2 weeks, and this is not the case. This is not the case for so many people. Yeah, the acute part, but nobody is speaking about PAWS. So the acute adjustment period, during the first weeks, the body and the brain being adjust to absence of caffeine. Adenosine receptors start to downregulate, decrease in number. Neurotransmitters levels slowly start to stabilize. This, of course, if you haven't been affected by this drug, like for some people it can be like this. Then long-term neurochemical adjustment. Extended adjustment period for some individual, the process of downregulating of adenosine receptors and the rebalancing of neurotransmitter system can take several months. The period involves a gradual reduction in the sensitivity to adenosine and improvement in mood and cognitive functions. Residual effect. In cases of long-term heavy caffeine use, the brain adaptation can be more deeply ingrained. It can take much longer, up to several years, for the brain to fully return its baseline state. Up to several years for the brain to fully return its baseline state. This long-term recovery includes the normalization of receptor densities and neurotransmitter activities. Factors influencing recovery time. Okay, duration and amount of caffeine used. The longer and more heavily a person has used caffeine, the longer it may take for the brain to adjust. Yeah, that makes sense, but it also depends on the person. Individual differences, genetic factors, overall health, age, the lifestyle can influence the rate of recovery. Concurrent substance use of other substances, of course, like I speak about, like nicotine, alcohol, can also impact the brain recovery process. And there, the end, I just have listed a few, like healthy, managing long-term adjustment, like healthy lifestyle, regular exercise, balanced diet, good sleep hygiene can support brain health and facilitate the recovery process. Gradual reduction, tapering of caffeine slowly rather than quitting abruptly can, I think this would be the cold turkey, can help mitigate withdrawal symptoms and ease the adjustment period through that. Stress management techniques, just as mindfulness, meditation, and stress management can help in coping with withdrawal symptoms and improving overall well-being. So that one I just wanted to show, and now I will go to the chat. Just wait a second, guys. So what the Travis says: I have just a weird relationship with caffeine. I will quit for a few months but then start again, and my intake gradually increases to about 50-100 milligrams a day, and it starts interfering with sleep, so I quit. But then the cycle starts again, and I know I have more tendency toward anxiety with caffeine, but I just become so dependent on it. Yes, hang in there. I will send you a lot of hearts here. I know it's not easy to quit, but I'm sure that you will succeed one day, and just stay quit for sure. Then it's just that sometimes we just have to make then the decision to not to go back, and I know that can be really hard, but you are doing the very good job trying to quit. And even if you have been already like few months, that's a really good start there, because time will go by. So what do you think, guys, about this information that I have been sharing? Is it helpful, or what do you think anyway? Have you find this information have been helpful? Of course, in my Discord I will also share a lot of support and information, just share all kind of articles and videos and whatever. But here in my YouTube it's more about this this supporting, and now I'm really into this brain chemistry, because this is really fascinating. And for me, of course, it's really fascinating in that sense that many of us, when we heal after chronic caffeine use, we don't just heal from the brain chemistry, but we actually become stronger and better than we were while we were in addiction. So like for me, I have OCD and anxiety in my caffeine addiction, and I don't have those anymore, none of those. And because I was living so long time with the OCD and intrusive thoughts since childhood, I didn't even know that this is possible. And this is my best summer ever with my anxiety that I have ever had, like meaning that I don't have that. Like the best summer for me so far in my life have been this one. And summer is not even even like fully started, but I really can see the improvement. So I'm very sure that you all will see a lot of improvement. The one thing I think it's okay, let's go back to the camera. Even I have been getting so much sun, I'm getting red. But anyway, one thing, of course, what is challenging in this, because for some people it takes long time to see those improvements. So that's why I know that many people get impatient, of course, because if you don't really see the improvements, if you go to the gym and you don't see like why I don't gain muscle, why anything doesn't work, and you are just stuck in that state, of course it's hard to keep going and keep up the trust that things will get better. But trust me, things will get better when you just wait and stay away from the drug. Because like many of us, we didn't get these changes in the brain right away when we started to use caffeine. It like in caffeineism, usually it happens during the months or years. For some people, even 1 year they use caffeine, their brain adapt and they have hell of anxiety when they quit, and they have a long withdrawal symptoms. So that's why when there is those safe amounts of caffeine, what mainstream says, this is the safe amount of caffeine, and if you drink over 5 cups a day, it's stopped Alzheimer and all kind of memory disease. That's bullshit. That's bullshit, because caffeine actually causes, and that is my opinion, I think caffeine is causing a lot of like that toxic dementia and all kind of stuff, and all kind of like Alzheimer's and Parkinson disease and all kind of. But let's see, it's discouraging that it can take years, but also encouraging because it means that there could be a lot of difference. Yes, and it is really, I know it's both. It can be very annoying but also it doesn't mean that but this is just like if you haven't felt like recovered yet, like let's say that somebody quit caffeine and it's like he or she is in 7 months or 10 months, and they still feel bad and they still feel symptomatic, maybe low motivation or tired. It is very normal in this. That's what I also wanted to share, this that they don't just think that no, this is something else, because it really can take time to recover from the addiction. And so that's why it's important to share. And because then many people, they go to the doctors when they have been some time without caffeine, and they just think that they now have some kind of mental illness that they didn't have before. Because like what is common to many of us who end up this journey, we all say the same. We all say the same things all over again. We say, I didn't never have this. This never happened to me. I never experienced anything like this before. I was so functional. I was living my life. I was doing all kind of stuff, and all people are saying same thing, even they come from the different countries, different life situation, different backgrounds, different health, different age, like any things, like they have been saying, they always say the same. So that's why it is happening. And one thing that I have been, sometimes I get so irritated because this caffeine stuff is so underestimated, and some people just like, they don't even see caffeine as a drug, and it's something that, yeah, but stimulants are not so bad, and yes, they are, and caffeine is like, it's even the worst of the worst in that sense that it is like the cell poison, and it's the like, it's supposed to kill bugs. Then people say, yeah, but humans are not bugs. Like those who are naysayers, I know the naysayers. I have a lot of naysayers in this journey. Naysayers always say what they want to say. You don't want to argue with the naysayers, because if somebody wants to argue with the caffeine with you, I don't recommend that. Let the people have their coffee. If somebody is okay to drinking it and they don't have symptoms and whatsoever, do that, be my guest. But this, what I'm seeing completely opposite. And I also seen things, people that think that they have been, that they have been like really healthy, and they kind of been, and then they quit, and bam, they are like, what the hell is happening? So all kind of stories have come to surface with caffeine. It really is a very sneaky drug. But for me, the most fascinating thing about this caffeine and other drugs and anything, for everything, is that our body and brain adapts for any kind of situation. That's how we human beings have been evolved and survived. We have very huge possibility to adapt different things. Any even traumatic events, we adapt. We can deal all kind of traumas. Then we bounce back, or then we continue to have symptoms if we don't go back to balance. But however, we always have this adaptation going on, so we can also adapt back. And that for me now is the most fascinating thing that I'm searching and learning like some kind of new world to me, this brain science, how incredible our brain really is, and how much more potential I think people would have if they wouldn't be poisoned by these drugs. And caffeine is the one, but then of course these other drugs and injections and medicines, how much the human brain can actually have the potential to do stuff and be more creative than when you are in the state of addiction. And only way to find out what is for you is to see how you feel without the drug and stay quit. So I don't know if that makes sense. Caffeine neurosis is the real thing. Yes, it is. Thank you, Halster, for that. It really is. It's really, like sometimes it's like I have to say people like, for example, like my mom now she starts to really understand what I'm speaking about, and some of my loved ones now they start to understand, because this thing is getting bigger and bigger. And sometimes I say that this is not me. Like I'm just one single drop in the ocean sharing this information that is there. It is there, it's a real thing. It's not something that, okay, I now invented this, that caffeine is causing this post-acute withdrawal symptoms. No, it's not. It's just like something that is like, there are certain facts that are just facts. And then there are these opinions and experience that I always have to say, this is my experience and opinion. But then there are also facts. And facts are facts. And opinions are opinions. So we have to remember that. But okay, do you have any other questions or anything? I think in this live I did share a lot of things. Also, I have been asked to do video about how to quit sugar and stay away from sugar. So I'm planning that and working on that, about the quitting sugar video. And then also one thing that I am working on is how these post-acute withdrawals are affecting emotions regulations, if that works in English, regulations. So how we deal with emotions while we are healing, because for many people that of course is hugely hard to deal with the emotions and stress and breakups and whatever happens in life. When we are normal, we deal those things pretty much easier. Like that's how we humans have been planned. We have been planned that if something bad happens in life, we get over that. It don't take usually years and years to get over that. If that is very bad trauma, of course, then it's different thing. But can be. But I do believe that we can deal with the life stressor really good when we are recovered and when our brain works like normally, because that's how our nervous system is being designed. Like, think about when we were living in the caveman time. I always go into caveman time. There are some people like, Anni, don't go into caveman time. But caveman time is something that we need to understand, because it's not so long time ago that humans were living in caves and it was all about survival. And our nervous system is in many ways in that sense of the same, that in caveman time we have been always used that we have to be alert, and there could be any kind of animal that could eat us then back in the days. So our nervous system has to be like that we can be really alert, and the fight or flight are working. But now, if we do that kind of things, that we take drugs and we put our nervous system in that chronic stress state, it doesn't do any good for us. Like, in this modern world, we actually can be really much relaxed a lot of time. No tiger coming. Usually we have homes, unless if you are living in the street, but even then, usually not animal are not gonna attacking you. Maybe there are some other dangers, but that usually is extreme cases. But we can live a pretty good life, I think, and not stressful life when we are not starting to take these poisons. And of course the life happens, that is something that happens, but this is just like, I think that there is so many things that can so-called make things so much worse. But yes, Hulkster, thank you for the kiss. So yeah, so nervous system is really, it's always about keeping us safe. So now, anyone there, you have high anxiety, you have irritability, it is just your brain is always watching you. Your limbic system is watching you. It doesn't speak language that you tell your limbic system that, okay, I don't have anything to worry. Like, your brain is watching you, and based how you behave or how you answer the things. And normally, when our brain is normal, let's say that something bad happens, I can pretty much, like, sometimes I can just be calm and my brain is like right away, oh, that was a false alarm, nothing to worry, and you go back to the homeostasis, or you calm down easily, because those neurotransmitters works and they give that messages to the brain and the nervous system to calm down. But when you have this neurochemical shitstorm going on, when your neurotransmitters are not balanced, the signals in the nervous system doesn't go through like the normally. And that's why it can be that the nervous system is, for some people, heightened state for some period of time before the neurochemistry will balance, and then the nervous system also will calm down. So does that make any sense? Wet Hulkster say, when we exhale, our nervous system calms down. Yeah, normally it does, but in this journey, when your nervous system has been sensitized by some cause, the exhale doesn't, like, even the breathing exercises doesn't work necessarily the same way than it normally works. So that is one thing that I'm trying to explain, and that's why these people are having these problems, because it's not because people are not have been trying to deep breaths and they haven't been done this and that. It's just that they need time. They need time and reassurance that they do get well, and that there's nothing wrong with them. And I know many people, they run out to the doctors, like they spend thousands and thousands of euros. They do the all kind of CAT scan and the whatever. I haven't done those. I did check my heart at a few times because my anxiety was so bad that I have this panic attack. So I had to check my heart. I wanted to just make sure, and my heart was good. So it was anxiety. Anxiety does that feeling. But I don't say if you have money to go doctors or to check yourself, if that calms you down. Sometimes the person needs to go check themselves, and that can calm down them a little bit. So that's not necessarily the bad thing. Of course, then there can be people who are going through this healing journey that are, for example, they have been chronic caffeine users, and they have some kind of like chronic decision that they have to take medications. Also some older people, let's say people in their 50s, 60s, 70s. Yes, there are people also in that age who wants to and tries to quit caffeine after really, really long chronic use. Then it's of course a different. I cannot say them to quit the medication because I'm not the doctor, and I can help more about this information to people who don't have any like medications and stuff, and they don't have to take them. But I think they still can benefit. Everyone can still benefit quitting caffeine, and for example, like for those people probably would be better to just wean down slowly. Anyway, if you have been a really, really chronic heavy user to a long time, and even your older age. Also, one thing that some women, for example, that are like over 50 or 60 and they quit caffeine, their healing journey can be looking a little bit different because they don't have periods anymore. So their hormonal functions are in that sense different. So that can also affect. So there can be many factors depending where you are in your life, what conditions you are, and so on. But what I can say, that caffeine doesn't give any benefits. That's for sure what I have been seeing. But quitting caffeine have been giving a lot of benefits, and many people really have been recovering from all kind of things that they thought that is for something else. Yes, I know you are always those supplements, but you know I have been speaking already what I think about supplements. But okay, now this almost have been a 1 hour live. I will continue to go outside and do my thing, and you just keep going and keep up the good work. I'm very happy all your messages and how are you doing, and I always keep like supporting you and just like sending you emojis and hearts and all kind of good stuff. So you got this, guys. Keep up